Call the meeting to order. Safety Commission meeting on November 12th. It's called to order. We have our agendas in front of us. First thing we got to have is approval of the agenda. And then we can read our secretary's report.
I'm so moved that we accept the agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and second to approve the agenda. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Secretary's report.
Okay, the minutes of the September 10th, 2015 meeting. New business was consider recommending a representative from the Safety Commission to the Local Option Sales Tax Loss Review Committee, and the motion was made by Mitchell, seconded by Demmel, to appoint John Pritchie to the committee. Motion carried. Item 2 is consider correspondence from Joanne Brennan, A being a private fence at Center and Broadway. Vegetation growing on it impairs visibility to the south. The commission discussed it, did not see a safety issue, and a motion was made by Hoffmeister, second by Mitchell, to take no action and have the city engineer inform Ms. Brennan of our decision. Item B, also from Joanne Brennan, was traffic patterns at the new location at the New Ulm High School. INS Engineering conducted a thorough analysis of the site and found only minor impacts of the study's area transportation system. And a related item was traffic at North Highland Avenue and US Highway 14. City Engineer Kaler stated that ISD 88 traffic study also included this location. MnDOT does not see a warrant for any changes, and the new school will not be open until 2017, and so then a motion was made by Hellendrung, seconded by Mitchell, to table any further discussion on this issue until the new high school opens. The last item on here was a question that was brought up on an item not on the agenda, and it related to Independent School District 88's conducting their demonstration project the first week of school at the Payne Street campus. And city engineers say that we had not received any feedback on the project. The meeting was closed, and our next meeting was scheduled for October 8th or at the Callwood Chair. Any additions or corrections?
Just one correction, and school opening, isn't that done this 2016? I believe the school should be ready for next school season.
Next fall?
Next fall.
Next fall.
16 is all. Other than that, no.
Can we have a motion to approve the agenda, the minutes?
So approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as read. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Old business. The updates from the school drop-off, what the outcome was down at the school drop-off and the demo project. Please state your name and address for the record.
Nathan Firsts, 506 South Jefferson. I can start with the update by explaining, for those of you who don't know, I'm Nathan First. I'm working on the Safe Routes to School program here in New Ulm. I'm a Minnesota Green Corps member, and that's an MPCA program. I heard your love for the MPCA.
I have a love for them.
Had to bring
Living on the river, I have a love for them.
All right, so I'll get to the update. The reason for the pilot project was to separate the modes of traffic around the school. So buses dropping off students, parents dropping off students, and separating the walkers and the bikers. And another goal was to test the arrival and departure process to inform the new one as the schools transition to a middle school in that area. And so with those goals, the project was a success. I mean, they got the information that they wanted, and I think a lot of the statistics will back that up. So the process involved curb extensions. It involved rerouted parking and drop-off areas. It involved separating the buses from where the parents are dropping off and picking up students, and adding a little bit more as far as volunteers for crossing guards. So the need for the project was kind of demonstrated when over 700 parents were surveyed in their parents of students in New Ulm schools. 43% of them indicated they were worried about the traffic speeds in New Ulm. 49% indicated they were worried about the amount of traffic. And 47% indicated they were worried about the safety of traffic at crossings and intersections. So after the pilot project, we surveyed some parents from both schools that were the campuses that were right on the area that we did the project on. And 52% of them said that they would support similar improvements in the future. So like the curb extensions and separating the traffic, they thought that was something that was worth continuing. 40% of them felt like the project was more safe for themselves and their students. And 40% of parents ended up finding an alternative drop-off or pickup spot for their student. And that includes having more students walking to school, which was a goal of the project, to make this area safer and encourage more students to walk. So anecdotally, I've spoken to a bunch of stakeholders in the community that were in some way had something to do with the project. And one concern that a lot of people shared with me was the speed at which people drive in New Ulm. A lot of people seem to be concerned about letting their students walk to school, or if there were students, how fast people are driving. A lot of people regarding the project really liked that there was a process in place, as opposed to what's currently happening, which is sort of a combination of practices. And the police department reported that they had seen more kids than they ever had walking and biking. And a lot of people thought that, as opposed to the first day, which was somewhat of a mess, it greatly smoothed out over time. So people did kind of get used to the new the process of pickup and drop off, and it ended up a lot better than it started. So moving forward, what's it going to look like? Well, the drop off for students in the morning is going to be similar to the pilot. So continuing to have the buses separate from the parking area will hopefully speed up the rate at which students can get dropped off, and also increase the safety for those students, because the students will not have to walk through a parking lot any longer. And the pickup process will be similar to what is happening presently. So buses will be in the parking lot so students can find the bus more easily, and it'll be easier for students to pick their students up after school on Payne Street. So that concludes the update. Thank you.
Any questions from any of the commissioners? Question I have, is this going to be continued next year again too, or?
Well, like I said, moving forward, they should kind of use a combination of the present process that's happening right now and the pilot process. So before school, they will have kind of the separated zones where the buses are dropping off along Payne Street. It's just easier for the bus drivers. They indicated that was a better process for them. And then in the evenings, it'll kind of be the same as it is now. And that's so students can more easily find their buses. And because that was one of the concerns that students and parents had.
Anything on the new high school, what flow is going to be up there, or don't you have any idea yet? Because some people are asking how the flow is gonna be up by the new high school.
Yeah, I don't have any new information on the traffic around the high school at this time. Yeah, hopefully in the future we'll be able to kind of anticipate some of the problems that could happen up there. Not that there will be any, but kind of getting on the ground up near the high school, walking around and seeing what that might look like.
Any other questions? Anybody? Thank you very much for the report. At least now we know a little bit more what's going on.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I did an observation on North Highland Avenue and Highway 14, and being that the state has said or stated that there will be no traffic lights there, I was just thinking if we couldn't have like a tripod stating that student or school crossing, because there's more than 4 sides to that road there. You got Highway 14 going through, you have Highway North Highland going through, and then you have the other street about a quarter block away that leads to the mall, and that's that, what do you call that one, behind Cashway, it's going up there.
Westridge Road.
West Road. So there's actually 6 corners that you have to watch out for, and if they got children going up there, they have to watch West Road crossing, they gotta watch Highway crossing, they gotta watch all the other crossing there too. So we should keep that in mind. I'd like to put that on the agenda for next May or something like that.
Mr. Keeler, you have any comment on that or not?
No, I think that'd be a good thing to look at. Obviously, things are gonna be a little different when the school opens up in next summer. Anything we do within the MnDOT right away has to be reviewed and approved by District 7. They have stated at this time there's not warrants for a traffic signal. That doesn't mean in the future that there might be warrants, and we could work with them on that. But as far as crossing on the city streets, we can always stripe crosswalks and add signage at our discretion, and certainly would be looking for a recommendation from this group. So sure, we can add that next spring or whenever you'd like to think of that again.
I would say I would think May would be about the time that we would be talking about it, so we'd be having everything in place before the next school opening.
I would agree, yeah.
Okay, anything else? Nothing? All right, let's see, what do we got now? We got the old business been taken care of. Did you talk to Ms. Brennan about the one down in Center Street?
I was hoping you were gonna forget to ask me that, Mr. Chair. I have not taken care of that. I ran into her the other day and I completely forgot about it, but I will deal with that as you had requested.
Okay. And I guess we gotta go in the new business. I don't see any other old business. Anything else? We have anything else, Jerry, on old business, or that covers it? Anything else?
No.
All right, we'll move on to new business. The proposed street bike route. Is there somebody here that wants to talk on it? George, you gonna come visit us?
I do.
My name is George Linus Glotzbach. I live at 907 Cottonwood Street, the old Poor Farm Road. I presume, Mr. Chairman, you want me to do this in English and not in German?
Yes, I would prefer in English. I don't think too many of the guys out here would understand German.
There's a few that would. The first thing that I want to emphasize is that this exercise that we've been going through on this entire program was mandated in the New Ulm Comprehensive Plan of 2007. So the process that we are going through here now this morning is part of the the comprehensive City of New Ulm plan. So we are proceeding with planning that is mandated in that document. One of the first points that's made in that document that, and I quote here, "The street system is not solely about vehicular movement. Pedestrian and other forms of non-vehicular travel must also be considered in planning for the future of New Ulm." And while we're going to be talking about bicycles here mainly from this point forward, it's important that we remember that the comprehensive plan and what we're working on here now is really part of a much grander scheme. This is one piece of the puzzle. The other thing, just state this early on in the game, that the bicycle is not only a recreational vehicle. It's also used more and more by people who want to go to and from work, people who don't own a car, who don't want to own a car, who look at bicycle as not only something good for their health, but a way to get from point A to point B. So the whole question about how the public looks at bicycles is evolving in that particular direction. I presume you all know that we now have a completely marked circular bicycle route around Ulm. That is up and operational. The signs are there, and I know people are using it because I've asked people have asked me about it as they've been out on their bikes. So I'm sure that is now in use. What we're doing now, and what I'm going to put up here on the screen in a minute, is the next step in that process, which is to tie the circular route into the areas of New Ulm where bicycle traffic seems to be the greatest. That is to say, to the hospital, to the schools, and to the established shopping areas. And to that end, we did some comprehensive surveys of traffic and talked to a lot of bicyclers who use the streets regularly and what they think about certain streets and certain intersections. Just to toss out some numbers for you here for a minute. I love numbers. Here are some approximate traffic counts on some of the streets in New Ulm. Front Street, the average daily traffic volume on Front Street, Mr. Chairman, in your neighborhood, 2,350 cars to 3,600 cars per day. Valley, 2,500. German Street, somewhere between 1,600 and 2,200. Payne Street, 1,450 to 2,500. Garden Street, 1,150 to 1,750. 5th North Street, 3,600 to 4,800. 16th South, 1,450. And another number that I just remember from another survey that I saw, the traffic count right outside the front door of this building on Broadway is about 18,000 cars a day. So there's a lot of vehicular movement out there, and that all has got to tie in with the people who are on foot, on bicycles. And I've noticed in the paper recently there's some other vehicles that are being considered for use on the public streets of New Ulm. So this variety of vehicular and pedestrian traffic is becoming more and more important as we go along. Now if we could put the map up on the screen, that would be helpful.
There we go.
And maybe you can't all see that as well as I can't see it, but the red lines there will indicate to you the streets that we have selected as the main designated bicycle artery streets to get to the schools, to get to the hospital, to get downtown, and to get to the other main shopping areas. Some of you, I guess, have copies of the map in front of you and will be able to see them more clearly. And those of you who don't have them maybe can share them with someone who is sitting next to you. So I'll give you a minute to take a look at that and see whether any questions pop out at you. There are some really bad intersections for bicycles and pedestrians here in Ulm, and cars as well. And that is kind of Accident Central, which is 20th South and Broadway. And that's a tricky intersection no matter how you look at it.
It's going uphill.
Are you people proposing more signage throughout the city, or are you?
I have a list of things that we can do, Mr. Chairman, and they are things such as, one thing you've already got in front of you, a designated bicycle map. Not that everyone would carry those around with them every time they move about the city, but at least they would have something as a reference, so that's one thing we could do. There would be roadway signs and other markings such as sharrows. A sharrow is those little sort of chevrons that you see painted at certain places on certain streets down in the new bike lanes down on Garden Street, for instance. That's called a sharrow, so we could indicate bike lanes by those sharrows. There's also a striped bicycle paths, or a lane, I guess a lane would be a better word, on certain roadways. And then there are other places where you could have a separated and mixed use trail, so that the automobiles might be in one place and bicycles and pedestrians in another. But I toss out quickly another statistic, and that is that bicycles and sidewalks are really a dangerous thing. The incidence of pedestrian bicycle accidents on sidewalks is about 25%, 25 times as much as it is on marked roadways. So there's a significant danger in mixing bicycles on sidewalks. So that's one of the reasons, for instance, why bicycles are forbidden on the 4 blocks of Minnesota Street downtown, because you don't want to mix bicycles and pedestrians. And of course, then there's the combination of all of the above. So some areas may be worth doing several of these things. Sir.
I have a question about 5th North from Garden to North Highland.
Yes?
During the workday of the hospital and the clinic, there are a lot of vehicles parked on either side of 5th North.
Yes.
Going up and down the hill.
You're right.
And what is
See, the thing about bicycles and hills is that 5th North is the easiest way to get from Garden Street up to Highland. Some supermen can climb the 10th South Hill, and some supermen can climb the Herman Hill on Center Street. But the fact of the matter is the terrain almost demands that for anybody but a he-man, you have to go up 5th North. So, but there's a problem.
What do you propose to do about all the parked vehicles?
I don't think we have an answer to that.
That's still a pretty narrow road for
It is.
bikes and parked vehicles, and
But the bicyclist has a right to the full lane. I mean, if they're trying to get up a hill. I mean, most bicyclists will move over, but they still need a way to get to the top of the hill as well.
and going up a hill, a lot of times bikers will go left and right and left and right.
But they have a legal right to the full lane.
Yeah, can you come up here and say that again, please, Cindy?
Name
So-
and address, please, first, before we
Cindy
get into anything
Winters,
else.
with the Heart and New Ulm Project, 1324 Fifth North Street. So, bicyclists do have a right to the full lane. It's the law. Most bicyclists will ride as far to the right as possible, when possible, but they still, in order to have a connected system throughout the entire city, Fifth North probably makes the most sense because it is the easiest hill to ride in New Ulm, and you don't have a lot of choice in New Ulm either as to which hills where you're going to go as far as to trying to get to the top, unless you ride many miles out of your way. And that could be a sign that says share the road. It could be a sharrow on the street. It doesn't prevent a car from using the lane at all. We're not talking about having a lot of designated bike only lanes. There's a few streets that might make sense and we wouldn't lose any parking. We are not proposing losing any parking in this at all. It's just making people more aware that there may be more bicyclists along this particular stretch of road. And I think the hospital would support the fact that that's on the bike route because it's supported the Heart and New Ulm Project, and they're trying to get their employees to be healthier, and they'd like to see more people bike to work.
Any other questions? Nobody? George, you got any more comments?
Let me see whether my extensive notes here require me to say anything more.
Would you please remain up there so in case somebody has another question?
Yes, that's good. I think I've said everything I would like to say. If you would like me to say some more about any of these aspects, I'd be happy to do it.
I have just one question, and
Sure.
as you talk about people riding up Fifth North and that, is there any count of how many actually do? I've been there and I've seen a lot of them are walking their bikes up the hill. And I'm talking multiple ages, younger kids, older kids and that. My biggest fear is when you're talking total access is people coming down that hill on bicycles. That is more of a fear for me than somebody going slowly up the hill, because they will, especially younger kids, will lose control.
And until that street was recently improved, especially down there at the bottom where the pavement was very rough, high speed on a bicycle is really dangerous in that kind of
Any
circumstance.
high speed on any bicycle is dangerous on any street, in my opinion. But my question is there evidence of people that are riding up that hill?
Do we have a traffic count? I don't think we do.
We don't have traffic counts. I do know of one person that rides up that hill every day to go to work at the diocese that doesn't own a car.
Okay. Do they ride up or do they
No,
walk up?
he rides up.
Oh, all right.
You
And I
have
have
better
seen
legs than I do.
Thank you.
You're giving them options. You're giving bicyclists a little fewer, more safe options.
Any more questions for me?
Mr. Kaler, you have any questions of them?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't. No.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
I only have one comment. There's nothing wrong with walking their bike up the hill.
Right, there's not. You're right.
True.
All right, well, please come back to us again when you feel you have more information and more things, what you would like to see done here in New Ulm to help the bicyclists out.
Are we ultimately asking for the Safety Commission to endorse this?
Yes, so we can take it to the city council. The Heart and New Ulm Project has provided funding to the city to help pay for signage and or striping or sharrows. And it's part of the community prize money that the community earned for the Lose It to Win It campaign that we did in 2014. So we'd like to get approval of these bike routes so that when Steve and Joe are working on streets that are to be updated, they can incorporate some of the work into their bidding process, so it's cheaper, so it's more economical to do at that time. So you're not trying to always retrofit everything. And it's not that we would do everything all at once, but it would at least allow some things to get started next year or next summer during road construction season.
And planning being what it is and taking the time that it does to get this body to endorse and approve this so that we can move it forward, I think will be helpful all the way around.
And it also supports the Safe Routes to School program that want to get more kids to walk and bike to school. So a piece of that is that Nate's going to be working on some walking routes as well as in this bike, these designated bike maps go past all of the schools and take into account the controlled intersections as well.
Chairman,
Yes.
I move that this commission endorse this proposed bike route plan.
I have a motion to move the proposed bike route plan forward. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second. I have a motion and a second to approve the proposed bike route plan so that the city may move forward and the bicycle group may move forward with getting the things that they would like to see get done. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just
Yeah.
a point of clarification. You're receiving and recommending or approving these routes as appropriate, but with regard to the treatment or designation of what's going to happen on individual routes, I feel that should come back to this group. Is it going to be signage, sharrows,
Yeah.
dedicated bike lanes? So just so we're clear,
That would be right.
if that's your wishes.
That's certainly fine with us.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah,
Mr. Mitchell's motion was just to approve the route,
Correct.
the routes.
I understand.
And then afterwards you come back and talk some more.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, we should be looking at where, all right, they want to put a bike lane there. That should be a decision we should have to look at individually when they come up with that.
Mhm.
To definitely review that at that time.
Agreed.
Any further discussion? We have two very good points that were brought up. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. You can
Feeling
go
done.
forward with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The one other thing that I was gonna bring up was for the reinvest, the fund, the lost fund that they were talking about for the taxes. I'm on the Reinvest Minnesota Committee now, Reinvest in New Ulm, Renew. If we have any projects that we would like to see done here, I would have to know about them so I can get them up to the Renew meetings, such as any major things that the Safety Council can work with. It's a very interesting project. It's going to cost us taxes, I realize that, but it's a very interesting project to work on. So if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer your question, but I don't think we need to talk anymore about it. I'm supposed to give a report here so we know what's going on with the commission. Paul, you're sitting over there kind of quiet. You got anything for us to say? Fire chief is quiet over there. His sirens aren't blaring, so must be something good. Any further business? Any other new business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close down.
So move.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second to the motion. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.